The first time I saw my wife smile after her father's funeral, it wasn't the smile of someone mourning. It was the kind of smile that twists your stomach, like you're watching a stranger wear the face of the person you love. It happened the moment the lawyer said the number, $250 million. The room went silent. I swear, even the ticking clock on the wall paused. Emily's hand slipped out of mine, her fingers trembling, not from grief, but from something I couldn't name yet. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't relief. It was something darker, almost hungry. And for a second, I realized I didn't know the woman sitting next to me. When we got home that night, she didn't say a word. Not about the will, not about her father, not about the future. She just sat at the kitchen table, staring at the blank wall, like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. I tried to break the silence, asking, "Are you okay?" But she just said, "You'll understand soon enough." The next morning, I woke up alone. Her closet was half empty, and there was an envelope on the counter with my name scrawled across it. Divorce papers. No explanation. No, we need to talk. Just a cold, calculated exit. And then I remembered her face at the lawyer's office. That flicker of fear when the will was read. She tried to hide it, but I saw it. Whatever was in that will didn't just give her money. It scared her to the bone. And now, it's scaring me too. I couldn't shake the image of Emily's face when the lawyer read the will. It wasn't just fear. It was as if her entire world cracked open in that moment. I tried to tell myself I was overthinking it, but the way she bolted from my life the next morning told me otherwise. You don't leave your husband of 8 years overnight unless something's eating you alive. The day after she left, I called her lawyer. Of course, he wouldn't tell me anything. Family matters, he said in that rehearsed, patronizing tone lawyers use when they want you to shut up. But I could hear hesitation in his voice when I mentioned the will. Something about my question made him pause for just a second before he hung up. That tiny pause was enough to keep me up all night. I started digging on my own. I contacted Emily's cousin, Charlotte, who had also been at the reading of the will. Charlotte is the type who thrives on drama. She can't keep a secret to save her life. So I asked her what was in the will. At first, she laughed, then she went quiet and said, "Harold, you really don't know, do you?" My heart dropped. "Know what?" I asked. There was a long silence on the line. Then she whispered, "It's not just about the money. There's a letter, something your father-in-law wrote specifically for Emily. I wasn't supposed to see it, but I did. And, Harold, if what's in that letter is true, everything you think you know about your wife, about your marriage, is a lie." I swear I almost dropped the phone. My hands were shaking so hard I had to sit down. "What do you mean? What did it say?" I pressed her for details, but she shut down completely, telling me she'd already said too much. Before I could get anything else out of her, she hung up. I sat there in silence, staring at the walls of our empty apartment, wondering how much of my life was real. Was Emily using me all these years, waiting for the day she could leave without looking back? Or was there something else, something darker, that I couldn't see yet? That night, I found myself standing outside the lawyer's office. I don't even remember driving there. I just knew I had to get answers. The building was dark, but I could see the faint glow of a desk lamp inside. Someone was still working. My pulse quickened. I told myself I'd just talk to whoever was there, ask a few questions. But when I walked up to the glass door, I noticed a folder left out on the desk inside. It had Emily's name on it, written in bold letters. And in that moment, every ounce of rationality left my body. I reached for the door handle. I didn't plan on breaking any laws that night. I'm the kind of guy who gets nervous just jaywalking. But there I was, standing in front of that glass door, staring at Emily's name on a folder like it held the key to my entire life. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it echo in my ears. The office was closed, but I noticed that the side entrance, the one for employees, was slightly ajar, probably left unlocked by some intern rushing home. I told myself I'd just take a quick look, nothing more. I wasn't going to steal anything. I just needed to know what was inside that folder. The second I stepped inside, I felt like I'd crossed some invisible line. The place smelled like old paper and expensive cologne. Every creak of the wooden floor sounded like a gunshot. I moved toward the desk, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the folder before I even opened it. And when I did, I swear my blood went cold. Inside wasn't just the standard inheritance paperwork. It was a letter from Henry, Emily's father, written entirely in his own shaky handwriting. It started off like a typical farewell letter, but then it shifted into something I can only describe as a warning. He wrote, "Emily, if you're reading this, you know now why I never trusted him. You know what I saw. And you know what I left for you is not a gift, it's a chain." I froze. Never trusted him? Was he talking about me? Or someone else? My mind raced as I flipped through the rest of the pages. There were bank documents, sealed envelopes, even a photograph of Emily as a child standing next to a man I didn't recognize. The man's face was crossed out with a thick black marker, almost angrily. Before I could process what I was looking at, I heard footsteps in the hallway. Panic surged through me. I shoved everything back into the folder as best I could and ducked behind a filing cabinet. A voice called out, "Hello? Is someone here?" It was the lawyer, Thomas. His footsteps got closer, and I could see the beam of a flashlight cutting across the room. My throat tightened. If he found me, I was done for. I don't know how I managed to sneak out without getting caught, but by some miracle, I did. I drove home shaking. The letter's words burned into my mind. Not a gift, it's a chain. What the hell did that mean? Why did Emily look terrified when she heard the will if this was supposed to be a fortune? That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the floor of our empty bedroom, staring at the divorce papers, and I realized something I hadn't wanted to admit. Emily didn't just leave me because of the money. She was running from something. Or maybe from someone. I decided I wasn't going to let this go. Not until I knew the truth. The next day, I was going to track her down, no matter where she was hiding. The next morning, I woke up with a single, burning thought in my mind. I had to see Emily. Not text her, not call her. I had to look her in the eyes and demand the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I wasn't sure if she would even agree to meet me, but I couldn't just sit there, drowning in questions and paranoia while she lived her new life on a mountain of money. Finding her wasn't easy. She had blocked me everywhere, phone, email, even social media. I reached out to Charlotte again, but she kept dodging my calls. Finally, out of pure desperation, I drove to Emily's old family estate, the one Henry had left behind. I didn't know if she was there, but something in my gut told me she'd be hiding where she felt most untouchable. And I was right. When I pulled up, I saw her car parked in the driveway. It felt like seeing a ghost. I hadn't seen her since the night she walked out, and for a second, I almost turned the car around. But I forced myself out, my legs trembling like I was heading into battle. She opened the door before I could knock, like she'd been expecting me. Her face was pale, her hair messy like she hadn't slept, and her eyes. God, I'll never forget the way she looked at me. Not angry, not even sad, just empty. "What are you doing here, Harold?" she asked flatly. I could barely speak. "I need to know what's going on. I need to know why you're doing this. Why the divorce? Why all the secrecy? And what's in that damn will that made you turn white as a sheet?" Her jaw tightened, and for a second, I thought she was going to slam the door in my face. But then she stepped aside and said, "You want answers? Fine. Come inside." The house was eerily quiet. I followed her into the living room, where stacks of papers and boxes were scattered around like she'd been digging through her father's life. She sat on the edge of the couch, staring at the floor. "It's not about you," she said suddenly, her voice breaking. "It's never been about you. My father, he left me more than money. He left me a burden. You think $250 million is a blessing? It's not. It's a curse, Harold. And if you knew what I know, you'd run far away from me." My stomach nodded. "What are you talking about? What curse?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she reached into one of the boxes and pulled out a sealed envelope. Her hands trembled as she held it out to me. "This is the second letter he left me. I haven't opened it yet because I'm scared of what's inside. He told me once, if I ever read this letter, I'd understand why our family has always been so complicated." I took the envelope, my fingers brushing against hers. For a moment, it felt like we were on the same side again, united by something bigger than both of us. But then her expression hardened. "If you open that, Harold, there's no going back. Do you understand?" I didn't know what she meant, but I nodded. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear anything else. I tore the envelope open and pulled out a single sheet of paper covered in Henry's handwriting. The first line made my breath catch. "Emily, you were never meant to marry him." I felt the room tilt. Emily grabbed the letter from me before I could read more, crumpling it in her hands like she wanted to erase the words forever. "Stop," she whispered, her voice cracking. "You don't want to know the rest." But I did. I needed to. Emily's fingers clenched the crumpled letter like she wanted to crush it into dust, but I wasn't about to let her. I grabbed her wrist, not hard, just enough to stop her from ripping it apart. For a split second, our eyes met, and I saw something I'd never seen in her before, pure fear. Not anger, not frustration, but the kind of fear that makes you wonder if you've been living next to a stranger all this time. Emily, I need to know, I said, my voice trembling. If I don't know, I'll go insane. What's in this letter? What did your father mean? She froze, her shoulders rigid, and then, as if she'd just given up, she handed the letter back to me. I smoothed out the paper, my hands shaking, and began to read from where I'd left off. Emily, you were never meant to marry him. He doesn't know what I know, and that ignorance has kept him alive. But now that I'm gone, the truth will find its way to you. The money I left isn't just wealth, it's a responsibility. It comes with enemies, debts, and secrets that will destroy anyone who doesn't understand how to handle them. You must protect yourself. And if he stays with you, you must protect him, too, even if it means letting him go. The words blurred in front of my eyes. I read them again and again, trying to make sense of what Henry was saying. Enemies? Debts? Protect me? From what? I looked at Emily, my heart pounding. What the hell is this supposed to mean? What enemies? Are you in danger? She shook her head violently, almost like a child. You don't understand. You were never supposed to be part of this, Harold. My father, he wasn't just a businessman. He had dealings with people I can't even talk about. And when he died, I inherited all of it. Not just the money, but everything. Every secret, every lie, every danger he left behind. I laughed, but it wasn't out of humor, it was out of disbelief. Emily, you can't expect me to believe this. Are you saying your father was what? Some kind of criminal? Her silence told me everything I needed to know. Then she leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. The money is blood money. Every cent of it. There are people who think I owe them now. People who will do anything to get what they want. If you stay with me, Harold, they will come after you too. That's why I filed for divorce. It wasn't because I stopped loving you. It was to keep you alive. My chest felt tight, like I couldn't breathe. For a moment, I didn't know whether to feel relieved that she still loved me or terrified by the nightmare I had apparently walked into without even knowing it. If that's true, I said slowly, then why didn't you tell me? Why push me away like I'm nothing? Because the moment you know too much, you're part of it, she said, her eyes glistening. And now, I think you're already too deep. Before I could respond, the sound of tires crunching on gravel outside broke the silence. Emily's head snapped toward the window, her face going pale. She whispered, almost to herself, "They found me." The sound of the tires outside was like a death knell. Emily's entire posture shifted, her breathing quickened, and for the first time, I saw genuine panic in her eyes. I froze, half thinking she was overreacting, but then I noticed how she grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the back door without a second thought. This wasn't some paranoid game. She was terrified. "Don't say a word," she hissed, her voice low but urgent. "We need to get out of here. Now." We slipped through the kitchen and out the back door, and just as we did, I heard a car door slam outside. Heavy footsteps crunched against the gravel, followed by the sound of voices. 2 men, maybe 3. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but their tone was sharp, aggressive. Emily gripped my arm tighter, and I felt her shaking. I wanted to ask who they were, but I already knew the answer. We sprinted through the trees behind the estate, my lungs burning as twigs snapped under our feet. Every few seconds, I looked back, convinced I'd see someone chasing us, but the woods were silent except for our frantic breathing. We didn't stop until we reached a small clearing where her old car, the beat-up sedan she never drove anymore, was hidden under a tarp. I stared at her, my mind spinning. What the hell is going on, Emily? Who are those guys? She threw the tarp off, fumbling with the keys. The kind of people who don't knock before they come in, Harold. The kind that my father spent his life trying to keep away from me. But now that he's gone, they think I'm their ticket to everything he built. And they're right. The money, the assets, it's all tied to them. I don't know how deep it goes, but if they catch us, they'll take everything, including us. I stood there, frozen, trying to process everything. My wife, the woman I'd thought was just a bit distant after her father's death, was suddenly part of some dangerous world I never even knew existed. And the worst part? She'd been trying to protect me by walking away. I felt both furious and terrified, and I couldn't decide which emotion was stronger. So what now? I asked, my voice cracking. We just run? Like fugitives? Yes, she said, without hesitation. We run, because they don't give second chances. As the engine roared to life, my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out and saw an unknown number flashing on the screen. I hesitated, but some instinct told me to answer. Harold? A deep voice said, calm but cold. If you care about your wife, you'll stop what you're doing and come back to the house. We only want to talk. But if you make us chase you, you won't like what happens next. I froze, my throat dry. Emily saw the look on my face and grabbed the phone, hurling it out the window before I could respond. Don't answer them, she snapped. They'll say anything to scare you. They never just talk. The car tore down the back road, every bump rattling my teeth. I stared out the window, watching the house we'd just fled disappear into the distance. And for the first time, I realized this wasn't just about money or inheritance. Whatever Henry left behind was bigger and more dangerous than I could comprehend, and now I was caught in the middle of it. Somewhere between the fear and the confusion, anger bubbled up. You should have told me about this, Emily. All of it. We could have handled this together instead of you throwing divorce papers at me like I was just some stranger. She tightened her grip on the wheel, her knuckles white. You don't understand. If you'd known the truth, you wouldn't have been my husband. You would have been their target. And I can't. I can't watch them destroy you like they destroyed my father. Her voice cracked on the last word, and I realized that beneath all the coldness and fear, she was still grieving. I wanted to ask what really happened to Henry. Was it really a heart attack, like everyone said? Or was it something far worse? But before I could say anything, headlights appeared in the rearview mirror. 2 black SUVs, closing in fast. The moment those black SUVs appeared in the rearview mirror, my stomach dropped like a stone. Emily's face tightened, her jaw clenched, and without a word she slammed her foot down on the gas. The old sedan groaned in protest, the engine rattling like it might fall apart at any second, but it pushed forward. The headlights behind us grew brighter, closer, like predators honing in on their prey. I twisted in my seat, heart hammering, as I watched the 2 vehicles close the gap with terrifying speed. These weren't random thugs. They were coordinated, and they weren't here for small talk. Emily's hands gripped the steering wheel with white-knuckled desperation as she swerved onto a narrow dirt road that cut through the forest. The car bounced and lurched over potholes, branches scraping the sides like claws. Hold on, she muttered through clenched teeth. My head smacked against the window as we narrowly avoided a tree trunk. Behind us, one of the SUVs followed, its tires spitting gravel. The other stayed on the main road, probably trying to box us in from another angle. I wanted to ask her who these people were, why they were willing to chase us like this, but I could barely form words. Instead, I grabbed the dashboard and yelled, Emily, where the hell are we even going? To the one place they'll never think to look, she said, her voice sharp, determined, but also laced with something else, a kind of fear I'd never heard before. My father's cabin. He kept things there, things I didn't want to believe were real until now. If we can get there, we might have answers. We might have leverage. The tires screeched as we took a sharp turn, narrowly missing a fallen log. My stomach churned, both from the rough ride and from the realization that Emily had been living in a world I never knew existed. This wasn't just about money. This was about something her father had done, something that made powerful people want her silenced, or worse. Just when I thought we might have shaken them, the SUV behind us roared closer, the engine growling like some mechanical beast. The driver swung the vehicle sideways, trying to force us off the path. Emily gritted her teeth and jerked the wheel, sending our car skidding onto another dirt track I hadn't even seen. The move worked, but barely. The SUV clipped our bumper with a sickening crunch, and I felt the whole car jolt forward. Harold, listen to me, Emily said, her voice suddenly calm in that terrifying way people get when they're running out of options. If they catch us, don't argue, don't fight. They'll hurt you to get to me. Just do what they say until I figure something out. Her words hit me harder than the collision. For years I'd thought of myself as her protector, the man who would stand by her no matter what. And now she was talking like I was dead weight, someone she needed to shield. It hurt, but I stayed quiet, because deep down, I knew she was right. After what felt like hours, though it was probably less than 15 minutes, We lost them. Emily cut the headlights and coasted down a steep, winding slope until the trees parted to reveal a hidden driveway. The cabin was small and weathered, but there was something ominous about it, like it had been waiting for us. We got out of the car, both of us trembling. The night was silent except for the sound of insects and the ticking of the cooling engine. Emily dug out an old key from under the porch and pushed open the door. The cabin smelled of dust, wood, and something faintly metallic, like blood that had long since dried. "This is where my father came when he didn't want anyone to find him," Emily said quietly. She moved to a heavy wooden chest in the corner, her hands shaking as she opened it. Inside were stacks of old ledgers, faded photographs, and a black leather journal with her father's initials engraved on the cover. She handed the journal to me. "You want answers? Start here. But I'm warning you, Harold, once you read what's in this, you'll never see me, or him, the same way again." I opened the journal and skimmed the first few pages. My breath caught when I saw entries dated decades ago, long before Emily was born. The first one read, "I should have walked away when I had the chance, but the money was too good, and the price was higher than I ever imagined." I turned to the next page, where there was a photograph tucked inside. A photograph of Henry standing next to a younger man I instantly recognized. It was my own father. When I saw that photograph, Henry standing with my father, both of them looking far younger but with the same intense, calculating expressions, it felt like the world tilted on its axis. My hands shook as I held it, my mind racing with questions I wasn't ready to ask. "Emily, this can't be real. Why is my dad in this picture?" Emily stared at it, her brow furrowing. "I don't know. I didn't even know they knew each other." She flipped through the journal, her fingers trembling as she scanned page after page. Then she stopped on an entry dated nearly 30 years ago. "Harold, listen to this," she said, her voice cracking. She read aloud. "Robert, your father, and I made a deal we couldn't undo. We invested in something that spiraled beyond our control. We thought we were just making money, but the people behind it were dangerous. When I tried to back out, they threatened my family. Robert warned me, but I didn't listen. Now I have to protect Emily at all costs, even if it means hiding the truth from everyone." I sank into a chair, my head in my hands. My own father had been part of this nightmare. It was surreal, like I'd stumbled into someone else's life. But as Emily read on, something became clear. My dad had walked away years ago. He had cut ties with whatever dark world Henry was involved in, and Henry's fortune was the last chain binding all of them to that past. And then we found the last letter Henry had written, tucked at the back of the journal. It wasn't cold or cryptic like the others. It was heartfelt. "Emily, if you are reading this, you have the power to change everything. Take the money and break the cycle. Use it for good. Don't let the ghosts of my mistakes haunt you. And Harold, he's a good man. Don't let my paranoia take him from you. Love him. Trust him." Emily's eyes filled with tears, and for the first time since the funeral, I saw the woman I had fallen in love with, not the distant stranger she had become. She looked at me, her voice breaking. "I thought leaving you would save you, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe we can fix this together." For a long moment, I didn't know what to say, but then I reached for her hand. "Emily, I don't care about the money. I don't care about the past. I just care about you. If we're going to face this, we'll face it together. No more secrets." We spent the rest of that night reading through Henry's journal, piecing together his story. By dawn, it was clear that the threats were more shadow than substance, remnants of old debts and enemies who were mostly gone or powerless now. Henry's paranoia had consumed him, but it didn't have to consume us. Emily decided to use part of the inheritance to settle the loose ends her father had left, legally and cleanly, and to donate a large sum to causes Henry once secretly funded. It was like lifting a weight off her shoulders and off mine. A week later, we sat together on the porch of the cabin, watching the sun rise through the trees. She leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, "I don't want to run anymore. I just want to live." For the first time in weeks, I smiled. "Then let's start over. You, me, and a future that doesn't involve ghosts or millions of dollars controlling our lives." We burned the last of Henry's letters that night, letting the smoke carry away his secrets. Emily slipped her hand into mine, and for once, it felt like we weren't just surviving. We were free.